No, that's not what I want. There we go. Okay. This other problem. If theta is equal to negative 4 pi, then find the exact values for the following. If the trig function is undefined for theta equals negative 4 pi, then enter does not exist. Which is annoying because it does exist, it's just undefined. Whoever's writing this question is equating does not exist with undefined, but we talked about that in class. So the angle negative 4 pi would be this angle. Standard position, its initial side is here. The terminal side would be, negative. So I'm going in the negative direction, so that would be negative 2 pi, that portion. Let's do that again. Negative 2 pi. And then we would go around again in the same direction, another negative 2 pi for a total of negative 4 pi. So that's our angle. So our terminal side rests also on the positive x-axis, like that. So I'm going to erase those curlies so we can see what's going on here. And so my angle is that. There is no angle to draw because the terminal side and the initial side are laying right on top of each other. But this is where we care about this unit circle action, where the terminal side intersects the unit circle, this being the poorly drawn unit circle. Poorly drawn unit egg. But anyway, it has a radius of 1. So that has a radius 1, which means this point is at 1, 0. So secant of our angle, they're calling it theta, is the length of the the length of the hypotenuse, my goodness, divided by the length of the adjacent leg. I'm sort of discombobulated because people are coming in and I got class in 6 minutes, or 11 minutes. All right, so hypotenuse divided by the adjacent leg. There is no hypotenuse, there is no adjacent leg because there is no triangle. So we have to adapt and change. If I did not go over this in class clearly enough, let's talk about this. Tangent, and that's why they're mostly not asking these common ones. So if I ask for the sine of an angle, if I have that triangle, it's the length of the opposite leg divided by the length of the hypotenuse. Super. If I'm in the unit circle, remember that the hypotenuse is 1, so I'm at opposite over 1, or just the length of the opposite leg. But if I had a triangle, this is not this problem, just drawing a triangle here, intersects the unit circle. The opposite leg would be this, the length of this leg, which is the distance y on our point. So it turns out that we can think of, if we're in a unit circle, that the sine of an angle is equal to the y coordinate, where the terminal side intersects the unit circle. In this case, for this particular problem, we do not have a triangle. It doesn't even actually exist because we have these just two, initial side and terminal side, coinciding. So when that's the case, I have to resort to the coordinates themselves. I have no other option because there is no triangle. So taking that into account, I wouldn't think of secant as this. I would think of secant as the reciprocal of cosine. Oh, let's not write it that way. 1 over the cosine of theta, which means it's 1 over x. So the x coordinate is 1. So it's 1 over 1, which equals 1. So this should be the number 1. And if we look at the other three, cosecant, not yours, cosecant of theta is equal to 1 over the sine of theta. Sine is the y value, so it's going to be 1 over 0. So this one's undefined. But again, the author of this tells you to write dne instead of undefined, so we have to write dne. I don't know why we can't just type in UND, but whatever. Maybe UND is not defined as some sort of entry. And then tangent and cotangent. Tangent of an angle is equal to sine over cosine. And sine is y. Cosine is x for the reasons we just discussed. Y is 0. X is 1, so we get 0 for tangent. And then cotangent of this angle measure is the reciprocal of tangent, so 1 over tangent. Or we can think of it as cosine over sine. And so that's going to be x over y, which is 1 over 0, which is undefined. But once again, for this person, undefined is equivalent to does not exist, though I would dispute that. So hopefully that's helpful. That's it.